60-minute basics. It'll be pretty mellow. I've been digging in my yard today, so my legs and arms are actually already quite tired. So since I want to relax, you get to relax. Make sure you get 2 blocks and a strap. And let's find a comfy seat. So if you want, you can sit on the block. And a lot of times when the hips are above the knees, it just makes sitting a little easier, a little bit more sustainable. But we won't be here long. Start to settle in. Find a place for the hands to rest. Let the eyes close. You can let the gaze just be soft if closing the eyes isn't calming or relaxing for you. Start with a few deep breaths. So use the first few rounds of breath to just encourage a little bit of a transition from whatever your day was like to this time of greater attentiveness. Maybe a slowed down rhythm in terms of how we move and how we breathe. Start to notice if there's any areas of tension or holding that you can key into. Inhale and pinpoint it. Exhale to let it go just a little bit. And you can start to bring your hands together in prayer at the heart and set an intention for your practice this evening. Offering up that intention, we'll open together with the sound of 3 ohms, taking a deep breath in. Let your eyes float open. We'll start lying on our back. So you can have your blocks handy at the front edge of your mat. We'll use them when we get back up to upright. But for the moment, come onto your back. And when you arrive on your back, bend your knees, set your feet to the floor. Reach your arms up over your head. Hold on to your opposite elbows. Step your feet a little bit wider. Let the knees tent toward each other. And take a moment just to feel the low back broad. The curve of the low back away from the mat. So your sacrum is touching the floor. The low back curves away. The ribs touch down to the mat. The neck is curving away from the mat as the upper back and shoulders root, and then the back of the head touches the mat as well. Keep the feet as wide as they are, separate the knees that wide as well, and then let the knees sway side to side a few times. And you can take this at any pace that you want. After maybe 2 or 3 more repetitions, start to let the knees fall over to the right and stay there. And you can keep the legs staggered. If you would like to, the right foot can set on the outer edge of the left knee. And rather than just pressing it down, so the force of the foot isn't necessarily down, it's sort of in the direction that the left knee is pointing. So I'm kind of dragging my right foot out on that right diagonal, feeling like I'm creating a little bit of space at the outer edge of the left hip. And then breathe along that whole left side body. You can maybe even turn your face to the left, getting a little rotation through the neck. Take yourself through one more really good breath here. And then remove the foot off of the knee, come through center, and let's try that on the other side. So take a few repetitions of the knees just falling side to side. And then when you're ready to go, let the knees fall left and stay left. You can keep the feet staggered here, the legs staggered. If you want, the left foot can come and rest on the outer edge of the right knee. And again, rather than thinking that the foot is pressing the knee down, think of the foot as tractioning the knee off on the lower left diagonal. So you're creating space. It's as though you were sort of pulling the leg out of the joint of the hip. And if you want, you can turn your face to the right. Take yourself through 3 more good breaths. And free the knee. Come back up through center. And bring the knees in for a hug. And once you give the knees a little hug, you can circle the knees. A little massage for the back. Keep the right knee held. Lengthen the left leg out. Inhale here, and as you exhale, pull the knee a little closer. Let the leg float a little away from you. You can drop that left foot for a quick sec. Shift the hips off to the right, draw the knee to the left. Reach out through the right arm. You can look to the right if you would like to. Send the breath through the right ribs, especially into the back ribs, back waist. And you've got 2 more breaths here. With your inhale, come back up. Shift your hips back to center. Let's switch sides. Take hold of your left knee. Lengthen out your right leg. Inhale here and exhale, pull the knee a little closer. And then you can just do that momentary set down on the right foot so that your hips scoot off to the left. Draw the knee across to the right. Reach out to the left. Take a look to the left. Feel the breath moving in the left ribs, upper left back, left side of the waist on your back. Take yourself through 1 more good breath here. On your inhale, rise up through center. Shift your hips to center. Bring the knees in for a hug, and then keep your right knee once again. Free your left leg, and then start to interlace your hands behind the right thigh. So you're pressing your thigh into your hands. Your knee might straighten, but it might not. Don't worry if it doesn't straighten. But again, you want the thigh to push into the hand because you want to think about creating space in the hip. So although you may feel a stretch in the back of the leg, this is really a traction move for the low back and hip. So imagine the thigh bone is moving toward the back of the leg. So you're really feeling the back of the thigh meet up with the hands. You can circle the ankle one way, the other way. And then slide the hands further up the leg and continue to energize the leg forward. So as it energizes forward, kind of picks you up off the mat, allows you to stretch between the shoulder blades. You can find any way up to seated if it's comfortable and fun maybe. To rock yourself up. Stretch the right leg out long. Left foot comes to the inner right thigh. Touch your right fingertips behind you. Left hand to the outer edge of the right leg. Inhale to sit up taller. Exhale to twist. Start to reach down with that left hand. Anchor it at the underside of the calf, or the ankle, or the outer foot. As you reach, let your head go. Take 1 more breath. And then rising up, you can come back the way you came if you want to. Whee. And then we'll try the other side. So take hold of the left knee. Right leg stretches long. And then when you're ready to go, interlace behind the thigh. Press the thigh into the hands. Circle the ankle a few times this way, a few times that way. Think again about your intention for this shape. So it's not pulling the leg really close to you. It's actually the opposite. Imagining the bone of that left thigh moving to the back of the leg. Same intention. Shift the hands a little higher, energize the leg into your hands so your head and heart lift up. And then your right leg can rock you up to seated, but you can really find any way up to seated that feels right. As the right foot sets down, you're going to put it anywhere along the inner edge of the leg that feels good. Take a little twist, right hand to the outer edge of the leg, turn to peek behind you. And then look forward, slide the hand forward, anchor it under the calf, ankle, or to the outer foot. Release the head and neck, breathe along the right side of the back. Okay, rising up, take your hands behind you, step your feet in front of you, and let your knees fall side to side. So you can keep it here. If you want to level up a tiny bit, you'll just lift your hips, and that will probably change your range of motion. This is going to keep you a little more honest. If this is too much, your hips come back down to the earth. You can walk a little closer, lift the hips a little higher. We'll take 3 more breaths, just working this. And then lower the hips if they were lifted. Cross the ankles, roll over the feet, and let's come to hands and knees. So put your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. I just realized I do not have my watch. I have no idea what time it is, so we'll find out. Anyway, I know it hasn't been that long, but I'm going to have to try to figure that out somehow. Untuck the toes, press down to the tops of the feet. On the inhale, drop the belly. We're looking through the shoulders. Tilt the hips up, look up for cow. Then on your exhale, round your spine, tuck under your tailbone, drop your head for cat. Next inhale, back open to cow. The next exhale, round to cat. And I'll set you free so you can start moving into any sort of free-form movement that feels good. You could close your eyes if you would like to. And we'll start to make our way back to a child's pose. So separate the knees, kick the big toes together, stretch the arms out nice and long. Try to push down into your hands so your elbows lift off the mat. Breathe around the shoulders. You're going to imagine the feeling of letting your shoulders lift up and kind of crowd your ears. So you're moving the shoulder blades to spin away from each other and lift a little bit off the back. Take 1 more breath. Walk your hands over to the right diagonal. Root a little bit more into the left hip. Breathe through the left side. And then walk through center. Let's take it the other way. Reach out to the left with the right hip. Breathe through the right side. Okay. Come through center, and I'm going to recommend turning to face the long edge of your mat. You do want to make room for your toes to be able to touch behind you for a moment, but not for long. So for this first little part, my hands are off my mat. Yours may be as well. That's fine. I'm going to touch my right toes back behind me. Yeah. Root into the left hand, float the right arm forward, and then that left leg floats up. Inhale here, and as you exhale, swim side to side. And then inhale, swim forward. And exhale, swim side to side. Inhale, swim forward. Exhale, swim side to side, and set the left foot down. Start to rise up to kneeling, and then stretch the arms out nice and long. Then tilt toward that outstretched leg. Roll back the right ribs. Take 1 more really good inhale. And exhale, circle your hands down. Walk your right knee over to the right. Kick your right foot more underneath your seat and start to rock your hips back toward your heel. We'll flow that a couple more times. And next time your hips rock back toward your heel, go ahead and stay there. Relax through the head and neck. One more breath. Rising up. So if you want to just kind of steal your blocks from the front for a moment, come on up to the hands, and we're going to turn toward that left foot. So we'll do a little pivot. I'm facing what is the back of my mat. Start to draw back that left hip. Sit up a little taller. Take a really good breath in. And as you exhale, begin to bow toward that outstretched leg. Let the head and neck go. Take yourself through one more really good breath. And then slide the foot in just a little bit. Try keeping the knee straight and then pointing the toes so like you're doing your best ballet foot, right? And then you can even reach out with your hand and kind of push the foot down. So this is stretching some of the muscles in the front of the left lower leg. Keep the foot there, shift so the left knee is bending. Walk the left block halfway back. Walk your hands to the top of the left knee and reach your arms up. Interlace your hands. Turn the palms up, press up, lift the heart, lift the face. And then separate the hands and swim that left hand down to the block. Lean off to the left, lean a little back. And then circle down. You can bring the blocks with you. We're going to swing all the way around and try that whole thing on the other side. So come back to all fours. I'm going to move these back to the front of the mat. Step back your right toes. Float your left arm forward. Stabilize all the way around the waist. When you're ready to go, that right leg rises. Inhale. And as you exhale, swim side to side. Inhale, forward and back. Boom. Exhale, side to side. Inhale, forward and back. Exhale, side to side. Set your left hand down. Set down your right foot. Rise up to kneel on that left shin. Reach out nice and wide. Tilt toward the outstretched leg. Turn back the left ribs. Take one more breath in. And as you exhale, circle your hands down. Walk the left knee a little further left. Kick the heel underneath you. Let the hips rock back. And then shift forward. Rocking back. Then shifting forward. Rock back one more time. Stay. Reach out a little further into the arms. Let the head go. Take one more breath here. And then rise up. Just bring your hands closer toward you and do that little pivot. So you'll swing your left foot behind you. Grab onto your blocks. Turn the toes to the sky. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale to bow a little closer to the leg. You can always have a little bend in the knee if you want. Oh, I do have my clock over there. Great. Okay, now I know what time it is. One more breath. All right, so keep the shape the same. Try to keep the knee mostly straight, and then just try to point the toes, stepping the foot onto the floor as best you can. And then reach out and just give the foot a little help. Take one more breath there. Pushing down on the toes gives you, I think, a totally different stretch than pushing down here. I always try to reach out as far as I can. And pull that right foot in. Bend the knee. Walk the right hand block halfway back. Take your hands to the top of the right knee. Press up nice and tall. Reach the arms to the sky. Interlace. Press the palms up. Tilt back. Breathe into the front of the left hip. And then separate the hands from the right hand down to that block. Lean off to the right and a little back. Good, and then circle down. So I was mirroring you. I will stop mirroring you in a moment, but for the moment I still am. Tuck under your left toes. Push off of the toes, step forward. Okay, so I'll stop mirroring you at this point. Walk your hands a little forward. Inhale to rise halfway. Exhale to fold. And stay folding. Bend the knees any amount. Let's keep the hands on the block. And tuck the right ankle behind the left knee for a little extra stretch around the glutes. So you don't want to feel this in the knees. So I always maintain a little bend in the knees, and that actually kind of amps up the stretch in the outer hips. We'll take one more breath. And then switch it up. So cross the left ankle behind the right, little bend in the knees. Let the head go. Okay, uncross. Step the feet to hips distance. Slide the left hand block more to center. You decide the height. I'm going to go highest. Left hand sets on that block. Left knee bends, right leg straightens. Turn your right arm up to the sky. So you can always stay here, really focusing on that long spine. A little bit of core engagement happening so you're not kind of hanging, right? If you want to continue, your right arm drapes behind your back. You can let your left ear hang to your left shoulder as you really work to anchor that right shoulder down in this position. Take one more breath. And we'll try the same thing the other way. So bend into the right knee, put your right hand on the block. Lift the torso. Right knee bends, left leg straightens, left arm rises. Stay there or drape the left arm behind the back. And maybe let the head hang. Release, bow forward over the legs. And then bring your hands to your hips. Keep a little bend in the knees. Rise all the way up to stand. So feet are going to stay under the hips for the moment. We're going to move them in a sec. Hands to prayer at the heart. On your inhale, circle your arms out and up. Hold on to the right wrist, and then easy, soft step behind with the right ankle. Then tilt yourself off to the left. On your inhale, step through center. Circle the arms out and up. Hold your left wrist, lengthen, tilt right. Cross left ankle behind the right. Step back through center. Inhale, circle the arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Reach for the blocks, walk them a little forward. Inhale, rise halfway. Then walk the blocks outside the edges of the feet and step your left toes back. So, if you need to, wiggle your left toes a little further back. Keep the bend in the right knee, maybe deepen that bend. Let the hips sink a little deeper, look slightly forward. And when your exhale comes around, lift up the hips, lengthen that right leg. Inhale to bend. Exhale to straighten. Inhale to bend. Exhale, straighten. Bend your right knee and hop your left foot a tiny bit closer so you can ground the heel. I'd say come on up to the highest height for the blocks. Tug back that right hip, lift the upper body, look a little forward, and then bow closer to the right leg. Let your head go, maybe shake it around. Take yourself through 2 more good breaths. And your inhale, rise halfway up. Move the left hand block closer to the inner edge of the right foot. Keep your body lifted, energized, supported through the core. Right hand to the right hip. turn to the right just a little bit even. Maybe you want to look down, but just work on turning your ribs a touch. You could go fully into this twist. Totally up to you. And we'll take 2 more breaths. Plug in that back foot a little bit more, particularly the heel. And take 1 more inhale. And when you exhale, lower the right hand. Spin up to the back tiptoes. When you step forward, go ahead and cross your left ankle behind your right knee. So walk your left hand block forward. Keep it in line with your arm, so it's a little off to the left. Right hand to the hip. That might be more than enough. If you'd like to try to raise the right arm, you can. Ooh, I'm shaking. 1 more breath in. Good. Switch, uncross. Set your feet under your hips. Reset your blocks, take an inhale to lift and lengthen. And then we'll walk the blocks to the outer edges of the feet and slide the right toes back. Settle into the shape. So again, you might inch the right foot a little further. You might bend a touch more into the left knee. Let the hips feel heavier. Look forward. And when you're ready, lift up the hips, lengthen the left leg. Inhale to bend. Exhale, lengthen. Inhale, bend. And exhale, lengthen. Bend into your left knee for the moment. Hop your back foot in just a touch more. You want to be able to ground your right heel. Feet are at your hips distance. I'd say take the blocks as high as they go. Take an inhale to rise halfway. Keep the inner edge of that front foot grounding. Try to notice what the toes do. So I tend to have these sort of tense lifted toes. Others tend to grip with the toes. You want to balance. So they're just lightly touching down. And then maybe even with a little bend in your left knee, fold toward that leg. With your inhale, rise halfway up. Move the right hand and the block closer to the left foot. Support your torso. Left hand to the left hip. Turn a little bit. Maybe you're still looking down, just feeling that left rib cage turn. If you want to, left arm rises. One more breath. And then lower. So as you step forward, the right ankle is crossing behind the left. The knees bend a little bit. Right hand is on the block, slightly forward, slightly off to the right of the toes. Left hand to the hip, or left hand to the sky. One more breath. And then lower, uncross. And we'll take a walk, so you can step your right foot back and then walk to the side of your mat. And so here again, I'll turn into mirroring you. Let's set up a parallel stance. So walk your heels as wide as your pinky toes. Rise up, reach the arms out wide and up over your head. Interlace, press the palms to the sky. And then releasing that, take your right hand into the crease of the right hip. Bump the hips a little off to the left and lean right. Take one more breath. Rise up. Interlace. Press up. And then release the left hand. Take it into the crease of the hip. Bump the hips right. Lean left. Go ahead and rise up. Now interlace your hands behind you, and you're welcome to use the strap if this is tricky. Roll back the shoulders, lift through the heart. Soft knees, bow forward. You can work this shoulder variation, stretch, for as many breaths as you want. So if you want to keep it, awesome. If you want to release your hands down to the floor, also totally fine. In the next few breaths, we'll shift into this little traction for the neck. So reaching and giving the head a little pull. And one more breath here. Release your hands. Inhale to rise halfway. Travel with the blocks. I will be your mirror. You're going to travel toward your right foot. Flip up to the back tiptoes, both hands and the blocks inside of the right foot. Lower the left knee and tuck the left toes. Inhale to sit up a little bit taller. And if you wish, you could stay here, or you can place your forearms down to the blocks at any height, or forearms can go all the way to the floor. Soften the shoulders, release, and relax the head. And take yourself through 2 more breaths. With your inhale, rise back up. Tuck under the back toes to lift the back knee, and we'll travel through center. Again, I'm your mirror, so you're traveling toward now your left foot. Flip up to the right toes, walk the left foot over to the left. Lower the right knee down, and tuck the toes. Inhale to sit up a little taller. You can stay there or place your forearms to the blocks at any of the 3 heights, or forearms to the floor. Last 2 breaths. Walk back up to your hands. Tuck under the back toes, lift the knee. Turn to center, and we'll just take one more moment with the wide-legged shapes instead of the parallel stance again. We'll twist as we twisted before. Left hand down, right hand to the sky. Keep your crown pulling basically toward me, right? Perhaps drape your right arm behind your back. Perhaps let your head hang, and if you want, you can take your left hand and draw across to hold the outer edge of the right leg. One more breath. You can pull your upper body a little closer to the leg, or you can lean back. They actually are both really nice, just different. Unwind, right hand crosses to the opposite leg. So you probably have to adjust where your hands are holding, and just bow forward, giving the shoulders a little stretch there. Yeah, and then the right hand will come to the block. And the left arm will rise. You can stay there or drape your left arm behind the back and stay there, or draw your right hand across. And you can play with bowing a little closer to that left leg, so moving across the midline or leaning back. Both are good. As you unwind, that other arm crosses in front. Holding each opposite knee or wherever you're holding on to, bow forward. Okay, release. I don't do this a ton, and I promise I won't make you hold it super long. Come down to the knees. Have your blocks handy. We'll take a moment and frog. If you also wanted to catch a bolster and use a bolster, pillow, blanket, whatever you've got, absolutely make that happen. No need to torture yourself. If your knees are sensitive, you're going to bring your legs to with a blanket underneath you. So I like the blocks, and I generally place one at my rib cage, so high belly, and then one under my forehead. And like I said, I will not keep you here long. Play with where your hips are. So I want my hips a little further back. I felt too far forward of my knees, so I just adjusted back by a few inches. I'm not a super big fan of like going for deep stretches all the time. I think sometimes muscles are tight because they need to be tight and strong. So it's not a bad thing if this feels like an intense stretch, and if you're not feeling a ton, please don't chase a stretch, right? Not important. Just exploring all the different shapes our body can make. Exploring a full range of motion. You've got 2 more breaths. Okay. So as slowly and carefully as you came into it, you will slowly and carefully walk your hands in, lift your body up, inch the knees closer. At this point, I recommend bringing the knees right next to each other and just little kind of either half circles or perhaps even full circles of the hips. Okay, so intuitively moving with the legs together. And then you'll just swing your legs in front of you and have a seat. So now we're facing long ways on the mat once again. You can have one block handy as you move on to the back. And when you get to the back, bend the knees, set the feet to the mat, and your block wants to be at its lowest height. And if you wanted to go like really luxurious, you could even have 2 blocks at their lowest height underneath the hips. So why? We want to make a nice big platform for not just the sacrum, not just that bony triangle of the very low spine, but the entire pelvis. So the sacrum and those 2 wings of the pelvis back there, whole thing is supported so the sacrum isn't getting sort of pushed up further than the pelvis. So this is great. If you want to just hang out here, you are more than welcome to. I've got a very itchy eye. I think I've got something in it. If you like a little psoas hip flexor stretch, we'll add that on. It'll be optional. So you can start to draw the right knee into the chest. Not super important that you pull the knee close toward you. I'd rather you feel that your sacrum is pretty well grounded. So here my sacrum tips up as my tailbone tucks under. Here I get a little bit more of a low back curve. And anyway, it's really about what this straight leg is doing. So stretch that leg forward, touch down to the back of the heel. Energize the right shin into the hands and reach out and root down through that left heel as much as you can. And then when you exhale, imagine plugging down, left ribs, left belly, left hip point. If you don't feel a huge stretch, don't worry about it. Those of us who have a tight psoas are feeling this for you. Last breath. Okay, we'll switch sides. So catch hold of the left knee and start to straighten out the right leg. Again, it's not really important that you're pulling the knee super close because you want to maintain a more neutral pelvis. So feel that right leg, rather than bowing up away from the ground, it's as if the bones in the right leg are getting heavy. They're leading the leg toward the ground, although it's probably just the right heel that'll ground. You get 2 more breaths. And then step your feet to the mat, bend your knees. I don't know if you noticed, but we did absolutely 0 down dogs in class today. That was intentional. This class will be titled No Dogs Allowed, although I love dogs. But no dogs allowed in this yoga class. No down dogs, no up dogs either. When you get to the ground, go ahead and cross your right ankle over your left knee. So you can let the knees kind of swing side to side a few times. This is not like, shouldn't feel stretchy, maybe a little stretchy. It's more just for range of motion. If you dig it, you can keep doing that. Otherwise, you'll bring your leg up and either hold the back of the thigh or the front of the shin. And from there, you can stay put, or we'll twist this shape. So keeping the shape. You're just letting your right foot step down to the mat, so the knees fall off to the left. My left hand is holding the right ankle. A couple different things can happen here. I really love lately this reach of the right arm. So I'm really focusing on training my diaphragm to work efficiently, stimulating the lungs with some deep breaths, really feeling what the back does when I breathe, or doesn't do and can do better through training. Another option for all of you, if you want, is to catch that left foot. Okay, different situation happening in the upper right quadrant of the torso. So this is kind of a compression move for the upper right rib cage and lungs. This is more like stretch expansion. Okay, both good. Just decide where you want to go. You got 3 more breaths. Earlier we talked about that idea of traction, and that could be happening here. So imagine this thigh is moving kind of off in the direction of a left diagonal. So you're creating space at the front of the hip, not pinching it. Take 1 more breath. And let's undo that pretzel and take it to the other side. So left ankle crossing over the right knee. And again, you can just kind of wave side to side, seeing what's going on with the legs. Range of motion, dynamic movement. From there, you can keep doing this if you really love it. Otherwise, we'll bring it into that number 4 stretch. So you're lifting the legs, reaching, catching either the back of the right thigh or the front of the right shin. And you can stay here. You can also come back to this, right? If you want to take that little fall to the right, left foot steps down. So my right hand is holding my left ankle. Again, a little opening for the left upper quadrant of the torso. Left arm reaches up and off to the diagonal. Maybe that's where you hang out. Or, again, this is a little bit more of compression for that side. And then you'll probably notice right away you're going to get a quad stretch on the right quad. Your choice. Make a choice. Pay attention to it. What happens when you choose it? Would you choose it again? What would you do differently next time? So mostly we just want to be conscious of our choices. It's like a laboratory. So we make a choice and we refine and refine and refine every time we come back to the practice. 3 more breaths. Go ahead and release. And you can bring your knees in for 1 more hug. And perhaps you would like a little happy baby. You can always use a strap if the feet and the hands don't meet up. And what about bringing the soles of the feet together like a Baddha Konasana just on your back, pulling the feet in toward the chest. If there are any last moves that you want to make before we rest together, take a moment to do that. And when you're ready to go, stretch the legs out nice and long. Feet go wider than hips distance and flop open to kind of shake out your feet a little bit. Arms are wider than the sides of the body, palms face up. Shoulder blades tuck underneath you. I'm moving these blocks, so I feel like it's super important as you're setting up for resting. Like even right now my toes are touching that bolster. So I'm going to move because I want to try to capture this expansiveness where I'm allowed to just kind of expand into the space around me. I'm not experiencing any boundaries of just like stuff getting in my way. And then I'm breathing to the boundary, beyond the boundary. So expanding into space from the center, inside to the borders of the body, outside of the borders of the body. And then right back to center. Right, so I expand out past the borders of the body and then recenter. So you're welcome to rest here as long as you would like to. I recommend a nice long time. If I kept laying here with my eyes closed, I would fall asleep. That would be very boring for you. So I'm going to leave you here. But make sure to rest for a while and take a few moments of quiet centering when you're done to see how you feel. Thanks for joining me, everybody. It was really nice to see everybody who showed up. And I will see you again soon. Thanks.